Once upon a time, there was a billionaire named Elena Rivera, known throughout the world for her business acumen and quiet wealth. Unlike many wealthy individuals, Elena preferred anonymity over luxury and simplicity over ostentation. Despite her discreet nature, she owned a portfolio of successful businesses that thrived thanks to her keen instincts and strategic vision. Elena's newest venture was a surprise even to her closest colleagues. She had purchased an old, slightly run-down 7-star hotel, one that had once been the jewel of the city, but had since fallen from its prestigious reputation. The previous owner, unable to keep up with the low revenue, reluctantly sold it off, eager to rid himself of the burden. Elena saw potential in the hotel that no one else could. She envisioned it as a rejuvenated palace, one where guests would experience luxury at its finest. Her plan was simple: arrive at the hotel unannounced to observe how the staff managed the place before anyone knew of her ownership. She wanted to see the staff's raw behavior, witness the hotel's reality without any polish or pretense. So, dressed in modest attire, she prepared herself for a low-profile visit with a bag full of cash, intending to reward those who exhibited genuine dedication and care for the hotel. As she approached the grand entrance, Elena's heart beat with a mix of excitement and apprehension. It was a typical autumn evening, with a soft mist settling over the city, adding an air of mystery. She looked up at the hotel's once majestic facade, now dulled by neglect. Despite the wear, Elena could still see its beauty and potential. She took a deep breath, clutching her modest leather bag filled with dollar bills, and walked through the revolving doors. The moment she stepped inside, Elena noticed a sharp contrast between the lobby's luxurious design and the apathetic attitudes of the staff. The chandeliers hung impressively from the ceiling, casting a warm glow over marble floors. But the employees looked anything but welcoming. They glanced her way briefly, then returned to their own conversations, ignoring the new arrival. Unfazed, she approached the reception desk. A young woman with a bored expression glanced up, then looked back down at her computer, pretending not to see Elena. Clearing her throat, Elena smiled and spoke with her usual calmness. "Good evening," she greeted, her voice pleasant. The receptionist barely looked up, as though Elena's presence was an annoyance. "Can I help you?" she asked, the words dripping with impatience. Elena's polite smile didn't waver. "I'd like a room, please." The receptionist raised an eyebrow, giving Elena a skeptical once-over. Elena's simple outfit had been chosen deliberately. She didn't want to stand out as a billionaire. Instead, she looked like any other traveler, perhaps someone who was not entirely suited to such an upscale hotel. "A room?" the receptionist echoed, sounding almost amused. She exchanged glances with her colleague, a security guard standing by with an equally unimpressed expression. "Do you have a reservation?" "No," Elena replied calmly, "but I was hoping to book one tonight. I can pay in cash." The receptionist sighed, looking visibly annoyed, and started typing reluctantly on her keyboard. "Well, the only room we have available is the most basic one. Nothing fancy. Would that be sufficient?" Elena held back a smirk, nodding. "Yes, that will do perfectly." The receptionist continued typing, her fingers lazily moving across the keys, clearly unmotivated. It was then that Elena noticed something disturbing. An elderly couple entered the lobby, struggling with their luggage, but the bellboy leaned against a wall, scrolling through his phone, oblivious to the guests needing help. The couple looked around, trying to catch his attention, but he didn't even look up. Elena made a mental note, her gaze lingering on the bellboy for a moment. She then turned back to the receptionist, who handed her a room key with a lackluster, "Here you go." "Thank you," Elena replied, taking the key. As she turned, she caught the receptionist rolling her eyes and whispering to her colleague, "Probably a waste of time." The whispered comment stung, but it only steeled Elena's resolve. She walked down the hallway toward her assigned room, her mind racing. If the staff treated a potential guest so poorly, how would they act toward those staying for longer or paying for higher-end suites? Reaching her room, Eleanor unlocked the door and stepped inside. The room, although once luxurious, showed signs of neglect. A faint, musty smell lingered in the air. The curtains were slightly frayed, and the carpet bore stains from long ago. She set her bag of cash on the bed, feeling the weight of her decision. This hotel needed more than a change in decor. It required a complete transformation of its staff and spirit. She knew now what she had to do. She would stay undercover. 3. A rude welcome and a callous manager. Later that day, Eleanor decided to explore the rest of the hotel's facilities. Her goal was to continue observing how the staff treated guests and to see firsthand the condition of the amenities. As she walked toward the pool area, she noticed a young family in the lobby, struggling with their luggage. The mother was holding a baby, while the father attempted to juggle several suitcases. They looked around, clearly in need of assistance. Nearby, a bellboy leaned against the wall, staring at his phone. He showed no interest in helping the family, even as they moved closer, trying to catch his eye. Elena watched as the father finally approached the bellboy, politely asking for help. The bellboy barely looked up, mumbling, "We're short-staffed," before returning his attention to his phone. Elena clenched her jaw but remained silent, noting the interaction. It was clear that the staff had no sense of duty or pride in their work. This was no ordinary laziness. It was a deeply ingrained attitude of indifference that needed to be uprooted. Finally reaching the pool area, Eleanor was shocked by its condition. The pool, once the pride of the hotel, was closed off by a sign that read, "Under maintenance." The water was murky, with debris floating on the surface, and the tiles surrounding the pool were chipped and stained. Nearby, 2 maintenance workers were lounging in the sun, chatting and laughing as if on vacation. As Elena turned to leave, she almost bumped into the manager again. He was pacing through the lobby, glancing around with an air of superiority. When he saw Elena, his face twisted into a look of irritation. "What are you doing here?" he asked bluntly, his tone far from polite. Elena took a deep breath, keeping her voice steady. "I was hoping to use the pool, but it seems it's not available." The manager rolled his eyes. "Yes, it's closed. This isn't a place where you can just wander around and expect everything to be ready for you. Maybe you should consider a different hotel if you're looking for something more accommodating." His tone was dismissive, almost as if he wanted her gone. Eleanor was stunned by his audacity. She couldn't believe the sheer rudeness of someone in a position of leadership. It became evident that this man, who should have been an ambassador for the hotel, was one of its biggest problems. At that moment, Elena decided to abandon her initial plan of simply rewarding the good staff. She realized that this hotel needed a complete overhaul from the ground up, starting with the removal of its arrogant manager. Her mission had shifted from one of quiet observation to a full-blown investigation. Returning to her room, she started taking notes and preparing her next moves. She would stay in disguise a little longer, observing every interaction, gathering evidence of the poor customer service, and identifying each problematic staff member. The staff and the manager had no idea who she really was, but soon they would. Elena knew that when the time was right, she would reveal her identity and show them the consequences of their actions. Until then, she would remain the quiet guest, silently taking stock of everything around her, waiting for the perfect moment to expose the truth. 4. Deciding to stay incognito. Back in her room, Eleanor sat by the window, watching the city skyline as evening approached. She thought about everything she had witnessed so far: the dismissive receptionist, the unhelpful bellboy, the uncaring manager. What troubled her most was that this wasn't just 1 or 2 bad employees. The entire hotel was infected by an attitude of apathy and disdain toward guests. But she knew that if she confronted them now, she might not get the full picture of what was happening behind the scenes. Elena decided she needed to see more of how things operated day to day. She would stay incognito for a few days, blending in as a regular guest, observing every detail, every interaction. She realized she'd need to document everything thoroughly to make her point clear when she finally revealed herself as the owner. The hotel needed a wake-up call, but to give it effectively, she had to see the full scope of the problem. To aid her investigation, she came up with a plan. She would carry a small notebook, recording every rude encounter, every neglected task, and every instance of poor service. Additionally, she installed a hidden camera in her bag to capture the staff's behavior around her. With her tech-savvy background, she knew this would be an effective way to document the truth without drawing attention. That evening, Elena ventured out again, making her way to the restaurant for dinner. The dining room was sparsely populated, the once elegant decor dulled by poor lighting and years of wear. She chose a quiet table near the center of the room, hoping to observe the servers in action. As she waited, she watched the staff moving sluggishly, often standing in corners chatting rather than attending to guests. Several tables still had dirty dishes, and some guests appeared to have been waiting for service for quite some time. When a server finally approached her table, he didn't greet her with a smile or offer her a menu. Instead, he stood there, barely meeting her gaze. "Are you ready to order?" he asked impatiently. Elena glanced around. "Could I see a menu, please?" The server rolled his eyes, muttering under his breath as he fetched a worn-out menu from the next table. He slapped it down in front of her and walked away before she could ask any questions. She opened the menu and found it filled with overpriced dishes that seemed oddly out of place in a hotel that was clearly struggling. When the waiter eventually returned, Elena ordered a simple pasta dish, making a mental note of his behavior. As she waited, she noticed other guests having similar experiences. Several times, she overheard people complaining about the slow service or the staff's rude attitudes, only to be met with indifference or a forced apology. Her meal arrived late, the pasta lukewarm and lacking any hint of the quality expected from a luxury hotel. Despite her disappointment, Elena took a few bites and made a note in her notebook, recording her observations and rating each aspect of the experience. She felt a mixture of frustration and determination. This was no way to treat guests, and she knew that things had to change, but she needed more evidence. Over the next few days, Elena continued her undercover mission, documenting each interaction, each neglected duty, and each moment of rudeness she encountered. She booked a spa appointment and found it in the same neglected state as the rest of the hotel. Old, unclean robes and staff members who barely acknowledged her. She arranged for room service, only to have her order arrive wrong and cold, delivered by a server who acted as though she was a burden. Through it all, Elena kept her composure, never revealing her frustration or true identity. She remained polite and patient, blending in as just another guest. The staff's disdainful treatment continued, their assumptions about her humble appearance blinding them to the truth of who she was. With every day that passed, her determination grew stronger. She now had enough evidence to bring a case against the hotel's poor management and unmotivated staff, and with each passing moment, she felt closer to the moment she would reveal her identity. Elena knew she would make her reveal unforgettable, but for now, she would continue to watch quietly, gathering every last piece of evidence needed to transform this hotel into the establishment it was always meant to be. The revelation, staff neglect, and customer complaints. Elena's investigation continued, each day revealing a new layer of neglect and dysfunction. She spent her mornings exploring different parts of the hotel, observing how the staff handled daily responsibilities, or more accurately, how they neglected them. From the poorly cleaned rooms to the lackluster service, she realized that the problems went far beyond simple laziness. They stemmed from a complete lack of care and accountability, but it wasn't just the staff. Management's arrogance and lack of leadership had created an environment where disrespect was tolerated, even encouraged. One afternoon, as she sat in the lobby, she overheard a heated conversation between a couple and the receptionist. The couple was complaining about the state of their room, dusty surfaces, a leaking bathroom faucet, and a lingering musty odor. Instead of addressing their concerns, the receptionist offered a half-hearted apology and blamed it on high guest turnover. Frustrated, the couple demanded a refund, but the receptionist brushed them off, saying it was against policy. Elena watched as the couple stormed off, vowing never to return. She could see the receptionist roll her eyes, muttering under her breath as she returned to her computer. This behavior was not only driving guests away, but it was also tarnishing the hotel's reputation. Determined to understand the full extent of the hotel's problems, Elena began discreetly speaking with other guests. Posing as a fellow traveler concerned about the hotel's quality, she learned that many had similar complaints: rude staff, poorly maintained rooms, and a lack of basic amenities that one would expect from a 7-star hotel. Some guests shared stories of being overcharged, while others mentioned that requests for simple items like extra towels or room cleaning were often ignored. It was during one of these conversations that Eleanor learned of a particular guest who had experienced an incident that left her shaken. The guest, a young woman traveling alone, had requested assistance from the front desk when she felt unwell late at night. Instead of helping, the night manager dismissed her concern, claiming he had more important things to do. The woman ended up seeking help from a nearby hotel, vowing never to set foot in this one again. Elena was appalled. She couldn't believe the sheer disregard for guest safety and comfort. These weren't mere inconveniences. They were experiences that tarnished the hotel's reputation and created a hostile environment for visitors. She felt a deep sense of responsibility, realizing that if she didn't intervene, this place would continue to fail both financially and morally. One evening, while dining alone in the restaurant, she saw the manager make his rounds. As usual, he paid no attention to the guests, focusing instead on giving orders to the waitstaff in a gruff, dismissive tone. When he passed her table, he barely glanced in her direction. She seized the opportunity and decided to test his reaction by bringing up a guest complaint. "Excuse me," Elena said, her voice calm but assertive. The manager turned, an annoyed expression on his face, as if he had more important matters to attend to. "Yes?" he replied curtly, clearly uninterested. "I've noticed a few issues during my stay," she began, choosing her words carefully. "The room service is often late, the amenities are lacking, and the staff seems rather unmotivated. Is there a reason for that?" The manager scoffed, rolling his eyes as though she were wasting his time. "Look, we're understaffed and overworked," he replied dismissively. "If you don't like it, you're free to stay somewhere else." The bluntness of his response stunned her. This was no ordinary lack of professionalism. It was open contempt for the very people keeping the hotel in business. Elena decided she had seen enough. She had collected all the evidence she needed: the dismissive attitudes, the guest complaints, the unprofessional staff interactions. Each encounter had solidified her understanding of what had gone wrong in the hotel. As she returned to her room that night, she knew that the time for watching and waiting was over. She was ready to make her move. Her plan was simple yet powerful. She would expose the truth, reveal her identity, and confront the staff with all the evidence she had gathered. And in doing so, she would begin the process of transforming this hotel back into the luxurious, guest-focused establishment it was always meant to be. In the quiet of her room, Eleanor opened her notebook, reviewing her notes one last time. She made a list of the staff members who had shown even a hint of kindness or competence, knowing that they might still have a place in the hotel's future. As for the others, she had no intention of letting them continue under her leadership. She'd spent her life building businesses on integrity and excellence, and this hotel would be no exception. The stage was set, and the revelation was coming. 6. Gathering the staff for a revelation. The next morning, Elena woke early with a renewed sense of purpose. Today would be the day she would reveal the truth. All the small moments of disregard, all the eye rolls and the dismissive comments, they had painted a clear picture of the problems plaguing the hotel. She had spent her entire career building businesses on respect, excellence and service, and she refused to allow these standards to slip under her ownership. She quickly set a plan in motion. First, she placed a call to the current management team, including the manager who had treated her with such contempt, and asked for an urgent meeting in the main conference hall that afternoon. She made it clear that all staff members, from housekeeping to reception, needed to be present. As word spread among the staff about the mandatory meeting, the hotel was abuzz with curiosity and confusion. Rumors circulated that an investor was visiting, or that the hotel might finally be undergoing renovations. The manager, irritated by the disruption, grumbled about yet another pointless meeting, completely unaware of the significance of what was about to unfold. At precisely 3 p.m., the staff gathered in the Grand Conference Hall, a room that had once hosted glamorous events and meetings. Now, however, it was a stark reminder of the hotel's faded glory, with its dusty chandeliers and worn-out chairs. The employees filled the room with a mix of boredom, mild curiosity, and, for a few, annoyance at being pulled from their usual routines. Eleanor waited near the back, watching as they gathered. She could see the same lack of enthusiasm in their faces that she had observed during her stay. No one seemed particularly interested in what was happening. They merely saw it as an interruption to their day. As the room settled, Elena stepped forward, wearing a confident expression, but with her understated attire unchanged. The manager noticed her and frowned, clearly irritated. He hadn't realized who she was, and from his perspective she was just another guest, a guest who, for some reason, thought she had the right to be at an internal meeting. The manager cleared his throat, ready to dismiss her. "Excuse me, this is a private staff meeting. If you're lost, I can have someone escort you back to your room." Elena smiled slightly, meeting his gaze. "Actually, I think I'm exactly where I need to be." Her calm demeanor silenced the whispers in the room, and the staff exchanged puzzled glances, unsure of what was happening. With a steady voice, Elena began. "Thank you all for coming. I wanted to gather everyone here because there's something very important I need to tell you. For the past few days, I have been a guest at this hotel, observing, listening, and experiencing the service firsthand." She looked around, letting her words sink in, and what I experienced was deeply disappointing. A murmur went through the crowd. Some looked surprised, others defensive, and a few tried to hide their nervousness. The manager, however, looked unimpressed, as if she were simply another demanding guest with unrealistic expectations. Elena paused, then delivered the news that would change everything. "What none of you know is that I'm not just a guest. I am the new owner of this hotel." Her announcement sent a ripple of shock through the room. The staff members looked at each other, stunned. Some seemed confused, as if they hadn't quite processed her words, while others stared in disbelief. The manager's face shifted from irritation to alarm, the color draining from his cheeks. Elena continued, her voice unwavering. "I came here unannounced and incognito to see firsthand how this hotel operates, because I wanted to understand what needed to be improved. What I found was not only a lack of professionalism, but a complete disregard for our guests. Each of you, from the front desk to the management team, plays a part in how this hotel is perceived. And right now, that perception is abysmal. She glanced at her notebook, pulling out the pages where she had meticulously recorded each encounter. During my stay, I've documented everything. Every instance of disrespect, every moment of neglect, every complaint ignored. And let me be very clear, I am not here to tolerate excuses. The manager attempted to regain his composure, stepping forward. Ms. Romero, if I may... She cut him off with a sharp look. No, you may not. Your behavior has been one of the worst I've seen. You are supposed to lead by example, but instead you've created an environment where disrespect is the norm and the guests are treated as inconveniences. The staff's eyes turned to the manager, some visibly shocked by her boldness, others secretly pleased to see his conduct called out. Elena could feel the shift in the room, a mixture of fear, guilt, and perhaps, for a few, a sense of relief that someone was finally addressing the deep-rooted problems. She looked around the room, making eye contact with each department head, each employee. This hotel has the potential to be truly extraordinary, she said firmly. But to achieve that, things are going to change. This is no longer a place where mediocrity is tolerated, where guests are treated as nuisances, or where neglect is accepted as standard. She took a deep breath, her gaze steely. If you're willing to work hard and prove that you want to be part of a team that values excellence, then you will have my full support. But if you cannot commit to this new vision, then this is your chance to leave. I will not ask you to stay in a place where you don't belong. The room fell silent as her words hung heavily in the air. The staff members shifted uncomfortably, absorbing the reality of the situation. For the first time, Elena saw a flicker of awareness, even fear, in the eyes of those who had been complicit in the hotel's decline. Finally, Elena addressed the manager directly. You, especially, have a choice to make. You can either change and lead this team with the respect and accountability they need, or you can hand in your resignation by the end of the day. The manager's face was pale, and he looked down, realizing that his position was no longer secure. He stammered an apology, but Elena didn't respond. She had made her decision clear, and she knew he had to face the consequences of his actions. Turning back to the rest of the staff, Elena concluded her speech. This hotel has a long way to go, but I am committed to making it the best it can be. Those who choose to stay will be given the resources, training and support to thrive. But let me be clear, this will be a team built on respect, dedication, and excellence. With that, she closed her notebook, signaling that the meeting was over. Slowly, the staff began to disperse, some looking determined to prove themselves, others unsure of their place in this new chapter. As Elena watched them leave, she felt a surge of optimism. She knew that the road ahead would be challenging, but she also knew that this was the first step in rebuilding the hotel's legacy. She had planted the seeds of change, and now it was up to her, and those who chose to stand by her to see it through. 7. A new vision and training program. After the intense meeting, Elena didn't waste any time implementing changes. She knew that words alone wouldn't be enough. The staff needed tangible, structured guidance if they were to meet her standards and transform the hotel into the elite establishment it was meant to be. So, Elena got to work, designing a comprehensive training program, focusing on everything from basic hospitality to advanced customer service skills. The first step in her plan was a thorough review of each department, assessing each employee's performance, attitude, and ability. She worked with a small team of consultants she trusted, people she had hired from past ventures, and who understood her standards for excellence. Each department was analyzed in detail, identifying both the strengths and the deep-rooted issues that had allowed poor service to flourish unchecked. Elena also created a new vision for the hotel, focusing on the core values she wanted every employee to embody: respect, integrity, and a commitment to exceeding guest expectations. This vision wasn't just a motivational speech, but a practical guide, outlining clear standards and expectations that every employee, from the housekeeping staff to the front desk managers, would be required to meet. In the days that followed, Elena launched a rigorous training program. This program, which she named the New Standard, was designed to break old habits and instill a fresh mindset among the staff. Everyone, regardless of rank or seniority, was required to attend. This included the manager, who had once dismissed guests and staff alike, but was now being forced to confront his past behavior and learn new approaches. The training program covered all aspects of hospitality, beginning with the basics of customer service. The first sessions focused on greeting guests with warmth, maintaining professionalism, and handling complaints with empathy and efficiency. Role-playing exercises were introduced, where staff members acted out different scenarios they might encounter with guests. From handling difficult situations to ensuring guests' special requests were met, each employee was pushed to step up their skills. Elena herself led several of these sessions, demonstrating the kind of hospitality she wanted to see. Her hands-on approach inspired some and intimidated others, but it left no room for mediocrity. She demonstrated the little things that made a difference, like genuine eye contact, remembering guests' names, and going out of the way to create memorable experiences. Her approach reminded them that they weren't just working in a hotel, they were creating a place that people would remember, where guests would feel welcomed and valued. The program also included specialized training for each department. Housekeeping staff learned advanced cleaning techniques, focusing on maintaining the rooms and public areas to a standard that reflected the hotel's 7-star rating. Maintenance teams received training on proactive repairs and improvements with a clear directive: no more neglected repairs and no more quick fixes. The restaurant and kitchen staff went through hospitality training as well as a complete menu overhaul, focusing on quality and presentation. During this time, Elena introduced new incentives. Employees who consistently met or exceeded the new standards would be eligible for bonuses, additional training, and opportunities for advancement within the hotel. These rewards were designed to motivate and recognize those who genuinely wanted to be a part of the hotel's revival. However, Elena was also clear that there would be consequences for anyone unwilling to adapt. A probationary period was implemented, during which any staff member who fell short of the new standards or showed signs of reverting to old habits would be at risk of termination. This wasn't meant as a punishment, but as a necessary part of rebuilding a team that valued excellence and accountability. Over the next few weeks, Elena watched as the staff's attitudes began to shift. Those who were truly invested in the hotel's future embraced the training, eager to prove themselves. They found themselves proud of the transformations happening around them: the rooms that sparkled, the guests who left smiling, the restaurant that began to fill with patrons who noticed the improved service and quality. For others, the transition was more challenging. Some struggled to adapt, finding it difficult to let go of the casual indifference that had once defined their work environment. Elena spoke with each of them personally, offering guidance, feedback, and clear expectations. In the end, a few chose to leave, acknowledging that they weren't a fit for the new direction. Elena respected their decisions, grateful that they had the honesty to step aside. With each day, the hotel's atmosphere began to change. Guests noticed the difference, often commenting on the improved service and welcoming energy. The complaints that once filled the front desk dwindled, replaced by compliments and positive reviews. The hotel was on the path to recovery, and its transformation was becoming visible to all who entered. As the training period neared its end, Elena felt a sense of accomplishment. The staff had begun to embody the values she had envisioned, and the hotel was once again living up to its potential. But she knew the work was far from over. This was only the beginning of a long journey, one that would require dedication, vigilance, and a commitment to the highest standards. And with this foundation set, Elena was ready to take the next step in her plan to restore the hotel to greatness. 8. Rebranding and revitalizing the hotel's image. With the staff's training complete and a new sense of commitment emerging, Elena knew it was time to address the hotel's external image. She wanted to rebrand the hotel to reflect not only its newfound standards, but also the luxury and prestige expected of a 7-star establishment. This would be more than a facelift. It was a way to signal to the world that the hotel was under new management and was committed to excellence. The first step was to rename the hotel, shedding its old identity and embracing a fresh start. Elena spent hours with her marketing team, choosing a name that would reflect the elegance, sophistication, and exclusivity of the new vision she had for the hotel. They finally settled on the Celestia, a name that suggested both luxury and a celestial experience, as if guests would feel transported to a serene, elevated world. Once the name was set, Elena hired top-tier designers to reimagine the hotel's logo and brand identity. They crafted a sophisticated logo featuring elegant lines and subtle celestial elements with a color palette of deep blues, gold, and soft cream hues. This color scheme would be incorporated throughout the hotel, giving each space a cohesive and inviting warmth. The uniforms, signage, stationery, and even the key cards would bear the new branding, reinforcing the hotel's luxurious feel at every turn. The lobby, which had grown dim and outdated over the years, was set to be transformed into a statement of elegance. Elena worked with interior designers who specialized in blending timeless sophistication with modern touches. The new design featured grand marble floors, plush seating, and artistic lighting that created an ambiance of warmth and welcome. The chandeliers were restored to their former glory, their crystals glistening as the centerpiece of the lobby. Alongside the aesthetic changes, Elena launched a new website and marketing campaign to announce the rebranding. The website was designed to offer a seamless user experience, with high-quality images of the revamped spaces and easy navigation for reservations. A slogan was crafted to capture the essence of the Celestia, where excellence meets the extraordinary. This message emphasized that every stay would be a curated, unforgettable experience, setting the hotel apart from its competitors. Elena also created a plan for social media and digital marketing, hiring professional photographers to capture the hotel's stunning interiors, new amenities, and breathtaking views. The campaign showcased not only the physical beauty of the hotel, but also highlighted the personalized service and attention to detail that had been introduced under Elena's leadership. Influencers in the luxury travel space were invited for exclusive stays, generating buzz around the Celestia's transformation. To complement the rebranding, Elena introduced new VIP services, including a private concierge for high-profile guests, personalized in-room experiences, and custom welcome packages. Every guest would receive a taste of the new Celestia, from the fragrant branded room amenities to the locally sourced delicacies in the minibar. She wanted guests to feel pampered from the moment they walked in, ensuring that even the smallest details were in line with the hotel's luxury status. The rebranding efforts were met with excitement and intrigue as word spread about the Celestia's rebirth. Former guests who had once written off the hotel began to return, curious to see the changes. New visitors arrived, drawn by the hotel's luxurious new image and reputation. The transformation had not only given the hotel a fresh identity, but had reignited its reputation in the luxury market. As the launch day of the Celestia approached, Elena took a moment to reflect on the journey so far. The hotel, once on the brink of irrelevance, was now poised to become a beacon of luxury and a leader in hospitality. And while the path had been challenging, she knew that this was only the beginning of the legacy she was building for the Celestia and its future guests. 9. The Grand Reopening Gala. The day of the Celestia's grand reopening had finally arrived. After months of rigorous preparation, rebranding, and hard work from every member of the team, the hotel was ready to open its doors to the world with a lavish gala. Elena knew this event was critical. It would not only showcase the Celestia's transformation, but also allow guests to experience its new level of luxury and service firsthand. Elena and her team spared no effort in planning the event. She invited luxury travel journalists, celebrities, social media influencers, and former loyal guests who had frequented the hotel in its early years. The guest list was carefully curated to bring in influential figures who would amplify the Celestia's relaunch, each handpicked to represent the hotel's new vision. As the evening approached, the lobby was transformed into a stunning venue for the celebration. Elegant floral arrangements adorned the entrance, while a red carpet led to the main ballroom. Subtle yet breathtaking lighting highlighted the grandeur of the lobby's architectural details, casting a warm, golden glow that accentuated the luxurious surroundings. Every detail was meticulously arranged to make guests feel they were entering a world of elegance and sophistication. The ballroom was set with tastefully decorated tables, each with fine china, crystal glassware, and custom-designed centerpieces that featured seasonal flowers. A skilled catering team crafted a multi-course meal showcasing the best of local cuisine, paired with an exquisite selection of wines. As guests entered, they were greeted with signature cocktails created specifically for the event, reflecting the hotel's new brand identity. To add an extra layer of excitement, Elena organized live entertainment for the evening. A renowned jazz band played smooth, inviting melodies, setting the tone for an upscale evening of socializing and celebration. As guests mingled, the sounds of laughter and music filled the air, creating an atmosphere of joy and anticipation. Elena positioned herself at the entrance, personally welcoming each guest as they arrived. She exchanged warm greetings with familiar faces and introduced herself to new ones, ensuring everyone felt valued and appreciated. As the night unfolded, Elena was delighted to see guests marveling at the hotel's transformation, their expressions of surprise and admiration reaffirming her vision. Around the room, influencers snapped photos for their social media accounts, sharing snippets of the evening with their followers. Travel journalists took notes, eager to write about their experiences and spread the word about the Celestia. Elena felt a surge of pride as she watched her dream come to life, realizing that all her hard work was paying off. As the evening progressed, Elena took the stage to address the guests. She expressed her gratitude for their support and shared her vision for the Celestia, emphasizing the commitment to luxury, service, and creating memorable experiences for each guest. She thanked her dedicated staff, acknowledging their hard work and dedication in bringing the hotel back to life. With a heartfelt speech, she reminded everyone that the Celestia was not just a hotel, but a place where unforgettable memories would be created. The audience responded with applause, the energy in the room electrifying. Elena felt a wave of emotion wash over her as she realized the significance of this moment, not only for her, but for the entire team that had poured their hearts into this project. As the night continued, the guests enjoyed the exquisite dinner, toasting to the success of the Celestia. Conversations flowed freely, with guests sharing their excitement about the hotel's rebirth and plans for future stays. The ambience was lively, filled with a sense of community and celebration. After dinner, Eleanor revealed a surprise: a fireworks display outside the hotel to mark the grand reopening. Guests rushed to the windows, excitement building as they awaited the show. As the first firework lit up the night sky, cheers erupted from the crowd. The vibrant colors illuminated the hotel's facade, creating a breathtaking backdrop that made the moment even more magical. In that moment, as she watched the fireworks and the joy on her guests' faces, Elena knew that she had succeeded. The Celestia had transformed into a place of elegance, warmth, and exceptional service, ready to reclaim its place in the luxury market. The hard work and dedication of her team had paid off, and the hotel was finally back where it belonged. As the night wound down, guests lingered, reluctant to leave the enchanting atmosphere. Elena moved among them, sharing stories and laughter, feeling the bonds of community grow stronger. She knew this was just the beginning of a new chapter for the Celestia, a chapter filled with promise, excellence, and unforgettable experiences. With the grand reopening gala marking the hotel's triumphant return, Elena felt a renewed sense of purpose. The future was bright for the Celestia, and she was ready to take on the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead. The journey had been arduous, but the reward of witnessing the hotel rise again made every moment worth it. 10. The legacy of the Celestia. In the months following the grand reopening gala, the Celestia flourished beyond Elena's expectations. The hotel quickly garnered acclaim, with glowing reviews pouring in from guests who praised the unparalleled service, stunning ambiance, and extraordinary experiences. Elena and her team worked tirelessly to maintain the momentum, continually refining operations and responding to guest feedback. Word of the Celestia's transformation spread like wildfire. Influencers posted about their stays, travel writers featured it in high-profile publications, and the hotel began to attract a clientele that included celebrities, dignitaries, and high-profile travelers. Elena was overjoyed as she watched the Celestia reclaim its position as a premier destination, the name synonymous with luxury and exceptional hospitality. Elena implemented a guest loyalty program to further encourage repeat visits. This program offered returning guests exclusive benefits, such as personalized welcome packages, complimentary upgrades, and invitations to special events. The response was overwhelmingly positive, and many guests expressed appreciation for the personal touches that made them feel valued and cherished. To enhance the guest experience even further, Eleanor introduced a series of themed events and retreats designed to cater to different interests, from culinary weekends featuring renowned chefs to wellness retreats that included yoga and spa treatments. The Celestia became a hub for memorable experiences. These events not only attracted new visitors, but also fostered a loyal community of guests eager to return for more. The success of the hotel had a ripple effect on the surrounding community. Local businesses flourished as the Celestia attracted visitors who dined, shopped, and explored the area. Elena saw an opportunity to give back and strengthen these connections. She initiated partnerships with local artisans and farmers, featuring their products in the hotel's restaurant and gift shop. This not only showcased the region's talent, but also contributed to the local economy, creating a sense of shared success. Elena also recognized the importance of sustainability in the luxury travel industry. She launched initiatives to reduce the hotel's environmental impact, implementing energy-efficient systems and minimizing waste. The hotel adopted practices such as sourcing organic ingredients, reducing single-use plastics, and creating beautiful gardens that provided fresh herbs and vegetables for the kitchen. Guests appreciated these efforts, and many praised the Celestia for leading the way in responsible luxury. As the Celestia continued to thrive, Elena focused on building a strong and supportive team culture. She instituted regular feedback sessions where staff could voice their thoughts and ideas. This open dialogue created an environment of collaboration and respect, empowering employees to take ownership of their roles and contribute to the hotel's success. Elena's dedication to her team cultivated a sense of belonging, and staff members often remarked on how much they enjoyed working at the Celestia. Elena also ensured that her leadership style remained approachable and transparent. She regularly held team-building activities, celebrating milestones and achievements together. The once distant staff had transformed into a cohesive family, united by their shared commitment to excellence. Elena's vision had become a reality, and the atmosphere within the hotel radiated positivity and enthusiasm. In the midst of this success, Elena remained grounded. She made it a point to connect with guests personally, often dining in the restaurant or mingling at events. Her approachable demeanor and genuine interest in their experiences left a lasting impression on visitors, many of whom returned not just for the luxury, but for the feeling of being part of the Celestia's community. As the year progressed, Elena found herself reflecting on the journey that had brought her to this moment. She remembered the challenges, the moments of doubt, and the hard decisions that had been made along the way. But most importantly, she remembered the support of her team and the determination that had fueled their success. The Celestia was not just a hotel, it was a testament to resilience, hard work, and the power of vision. One evening, while sitting in the elegant lobby, Elena watched guests enjoying themselves. Families laughing, couples sharing intimate moments, and friends celebrating special occasions. She realized that the Celestia had become a place where memories were made, a sanctuary that offered more than just luxury, but a sense of belonging. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the hotel, Elena knew that her mission was not just about maintaining standards, but about building a legacy of excellence, community, and unforgettable experiences for generations to come. She envisioned the Celestia as a place where stories would unfold, where laughter would echo through the halls, and where guests would return time and time again to create new memories. With her heart full of hope and determination, Elena embraced the future. She was ready to take the Celestia to new heights, exploring new possibilities, expanding the brand, and continuing to create an environment where everyone felt welcome. The journey was far from over. It was just the beginning of a remarkable legacy that would endure long into the future. As she closed her eyes for a moment of reflection, Elena couldn't help but smile, knowing that the Celestia was now a beacon of hope, elegance, and unparalleled hospitality. Epilogue: A heartfelt farewell. As the years passed, the Celestia continued to flourish under Elena's guidance, becoming a cherished destination for travelers seeking refuge and luxury. But amid the hotel's success, Elena found herself reflecting on the journey that had brought her here, the struggles, the triumphs, and the countless lives that had intertwined within the hotel's walls. One evening, as twilight settled over the hotel and the last golden rays of sunlight streamed through the grand windows, Elena sat in her favorite spot in the lobby, a plush armchair that offered a perfect view of the bustling atmosphere. She watched guests enjoying their evening, the air filled with laughter and warmth. Families gathered around tables, sharing stories over candlelit dinners, while couples stole quiet moments in the cozy corners of the lobby. Suddenly, a familiar face caught her eye, an elderly couple who had first visited the Celestia during its darkest days. They had been among the first guests to experience the hotel's rebirth. their laughter ringing through the halls as they celebrated their anniversary. Over the years, they had returned to celebrate life's milestones, their love for each other and the Celestia evident in every visit. As they approached the front desk, Eleanor's heart swelled with emotion. The couple paused to admire the beautiful lobby, their eyes reflecting a mixture of nostalgia and joy. She couldn't help but stand and greet them, embracing them warmly. "Welcome back to the Celestia," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "We wouldn't miss it for the world," the woman replied, her voice filled with affection. "This place has become our second home." Elena smiled, but a lump formed in her throat as she remembered the late nights spent worrying about the hotel's future and the many sacrifices she had made. She recalled the countless hours spent reimagining every corner of the Celestia, the sleepless nights filled with uncertainty and the fear that she might not succeed. But here they were, witnessing the joy that her efforts had brought to others. As the couple settled into a plush sofa, the woman began to share stories of their visits, the warmth of the staff, the enchanting views from their room, and the special moments they had created within these walls. Tears welled in Elena's eyes as she realized how deeply the Celestia had impacted their lives. It was more than a hotel. It was a place where love blossomed, where memories were etched in time, and where people found solace. Suddenly, a little girl from another family rushed over, clutching a drawing she had made. "Look! I drew the Celestia!" she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Elena knelt down, her heart melting at the sight of the child's innocent joy. "It's beautiful," she said, tears spilling down her cheeks as she accepted the drawing. The girl beamed with pride, and in that moment, Elena felt an overwhelming sense of purpose and fulfillment. The lobby grew quieter as guests began to notice Elena's emotional exchange with the couple and the little girl. Their warm smiles reflected the spirit of the Celestia, a place where strangers became friends and where every moment mattered. Elena looked around, taking in the faces of the people who had made this journey worthwhile, each one a part of her story. As the evening unfolded, Elena gathered the staff together for a spontaneous toast. Standing in front of the glowing fireplace, surrounded by the team that had worked tirelessly alongside her, she felt a rush of gratitude. "We did this together," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "We created something beautiful, a place where love, laughter, and memories flourish." As she raised her glass, tears streamed down her face, reflecting the joy and love that filled her heart. "To the Celestia, may it always be a home for those who seek it, and may we continue to touch lives one guest at a time." With each toast, the room filled with heartfelt stories and laughter, the bonds between staff and guests deepening. Elena felt overwhelmed with emotion, realizing that every challenge had led to this moment, a moment of unity, love, and shared purpose. As the night drew to a close, the couple who had returned after so many years approached her one last time. "Thank you for everything you've done," the man said, his voice shaking with sincerity. "You've created a magical place, and we will always carry it in our hearts." Elena embraced them once more, tears flowing freely now. "You have no idea how much your words mean to me. Thank you for believing in us, even when it was hard to see the light." In that moment, surrounded by the love and warmth of everyone who had been a part of the Celestia's journey, Elena realized the true impact of her work. She had built more than just a hotel. She had created a legacy of love, resilience, and connection, a place where people could find hope and happiness, a sanctuary amidst the chaos of life. As she looked around the room, filled with laughter, shared stories, and heartfelt connections, Elena knew that the Celestia would continue to be a beacon of light, bringing joy to all who entered. and as her heart swelled with love for each person present, she understood that the journey would continue, not just in the walls of the hotel, but in the lives they had touched together. With a heart full of gratitude, she whispered to herself, "This is only the beginning." The tears in her eyes were not just of joy, but of a profound understanding that the love they shared would echo through generations, making the Celestia a place forever etched in the hearts of all who experienced its magic.